All right, here we go. So we are in week 3 of bringing business to profit. So this week, what we're going to do is from last week, we gathered potentially new people to reach out to, new people for your network. What I want you to do this week, and if you didn't do that, something you can do quickly to gain kind of a network of people who are interested in your niche. There are so many online meetup groups on Meetup or virtual meetup groups that people are in, and you could ask for all the contact information, their emails, their phone numbers, and wanting to connect in that way, which super easy, super potent. You get a lot of people. This week, what we're going to do is we are going to go through all those people, and if you haven't already, reach out to the people you connected with, saying something along the lines of, hey, I'm super happy to meet you, it was really great, I'm excited about whatever you told them about, and be like, would you be able to share some input on my product or service or business, and just let me know your first straightforward initial thoughts on it, because you don't want to keep going to the same people who all know you for their opinions. A mom might be subject to being like, oh, it looks great, or maybe they're subject to being hypercritical, or a friend might be subject to just being like, you can do it, and not really giving you constructive criticism, or so just being a support for you, which is great. But it's great to have people who will tell you straightforward, like, this doesn't make sense to me, or this needs to be a little bit more straightforward as to like what's going on, or what you're doing, or what you're selling, or maybe it would look cool with like lime green. You know, people who just tell you exactly what they think. That's very important, especially if you're starting your own business. You do not want just a bunch of people who are patting you on the back. So reach out to all those people, add them on Facebook, be friends with them, add them to your Facebook group that you created, or invite them to it. You want to grow that pool as much as you can in the second and third week here. You want to grow it as completely large as you can, and sharing it every other day or every day to other groups. Like I stated in my previous video, you're going to want to be doing that for these 2 weeks here to grow that as big as you can, because we are going to be using that later in the series. So once you do that with your brand, product, service, business, you should already from week 1 have the color scheme, the logo, the branding, all of that sorted out pretty well. And what you want to start doing now is play around with the prototype of whatever you're going to be pitching, selling, offering. Play around with the prototype, as in, like, if you're ordering a product, figure out what companies do it the best. How much is it? Can you find local? Is there someone that does it local? I personally find locals best, because, for example, when I had a clothing line, and it was so much easier working with someone who I could go to and say, hey, like, how is this looking? How is this going? Or the magazine. It was so much easier to be able to go to someone and say, how's it going? How's it looking? Same with like marketing and everything. To me, I like people who are closer, businesses that are closer. It just makes the whole process easier, more flush. I have dealt with companies like overseas. I've dealt with companies across the US. And it just takes some more time depending on what kind of company that you're diving into. And if you are going to use a company that is overseas or across the country, I highly recommend getting very familiar with them via Zoom. Don't just leave it to email. Don't just leave it to phone calls. Zoom face to face. Because then they're putting more meaning to the product and the brand that you're a real person. They might put more weight in giving more attention to that, stuff like that. But this week, along with reaching out to everyone now in your network, the new people in your network, this week also scoping out the best way to go about putting together your service brand for your service and your product, and what that looks like. For example, if it's a service, putting together the packages that you're going to have for sale, and doing some market analysis here, like compare it to the same or similar services in your area, like across the board, like beginners, medium type skill level, and high, like super high. And be real, like where do you fall in that? Like, have you been doing this for 10 years with reviews? Probably not if you're starting off. So you'd be more of like beginning, right? And beginning, generally, a lot of times, a lot of your first few customers are going to be like your test runs. They're kind of going to be the people you just want to let them know, like, and being completely transparent. You're my first customer, so I really want to make this experience great for you. I'd appreciate any feedback through the process. This is my experience, so I am well versed in it. And I look forward to working with you, something like that. So they know, like, they're not purchasing something from someone who's a complete expert if this aligns with your service. And products could be a little different, where you could, you can make a great quality product and price it high right out the gate because it's not tied to like years of service or how effective someone is within their service, if that makes sense. So those are things to keep in mind. But this week we are putting together the product and or service that you are going to be pitching, and doing all your homework, doing your market analysis, doing all that stuff that you are going to need to put your product together, and just put it together. Because what I find is when I do that, when I do put the product together, when I do put the service packages together, I generally tweak them for about 2 to 4 months after I've put them together. Because when it is a new service or a new product, I don't know what I don't know. So I run into things where I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, okay, that would make more sense. Oh, yeah, that doesn't make sense. Or, oh, you alter things, which then could in turn change the price, could in turn change how much time it takes, could in turn change a lot of stuff. So put it together with what you know, but do your research for the market and for your brand, for your product, for your service, to put those packages together. Write it out. I wouldn't make it super official because, like I said, probably going to be changing quite a few things here. And reach out to your network. So that's where we're at this week. This is week 3, and keep going.